Hey, welcome back, everyone. It is time for another red hot covered call video. Hey, look, it's been a while since I've been behind the mic, and I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to it because we're going to talk about a phenomenal trade for which I only made 5%. Now, I know for a lot of you, that isn't that bad, but considering I've owned Alibaba for over 1 full year, I'll tell you what, my expectations for what I made, did not meet. And I'll tell you what, I have done a lot of trades on Alibaba, and I knew my cost basis was much lower than my stock purchase price of $174. But when I ran the numbers, tell you what, I was disappointed. I'm going to show you those numbers today, and I'm going to show you all the trades I did, and I'm going to show you that final Alibaba trade for which I believe my shares will be taken away for $180. Now, we're going to talk about that, and I'm also going to show you a Nike trade for which I bought the shares, and by the time I was done owning the shares, the stock had not moved, but yet I made a lot of money selling premium. That's what we do here. We sell premium. We write covered calls. We sell cash secure puts. It absolutely excites me that we can make money when a stock literally goes nowhere. I'm going to show you on 2 occasions a Nike trade and an Alibaba trade. Literally, the stock went nowhere. I made money. It is financial freedom when you can buy a stock and the stock literally trades sideways. You can make money. And I'll tell you, just last month, I wrote a covered call on Alibaba, pocketing $1,200, thinking my shares would be taken away. They weren't. And man, stepping back, realizing that I still own my Alibaba shares, and they paid me $1,200. I don't know about you, but $1,200, we're talking real money. So look, I want you to stick around because at the end of this video, I'm going to show you a very special announcement I made on my Facebook page. Now look, if you haven't been to my website, CTP Dashboard, you need to go there. I offer up all the free tools you need for your covered call and cash secure put toolbox, and I'll tell you what, I offered up to you for free. All you have to do is go there, ctpdashboard.com, click on all the free stuff that you can sign up for and download. Look, I don't spam you, and I definitely don't charge you for nothing. Look, all you have to do, go to CTP Dashboard and download all the free stuff. While you're there, I want you to go to Facebook. That's where we're having the off YouTube discussion. It absolutely is our off YouTube discussion, like-minded people. We write covered calls, we sell cash secure puts, right? You want to be a part of that community. Well, the only way you're going to be a part of that community is if you go to Facebook, search CTP Dashboard, follow that page. You need to be a part of it. Now look, let's go ahead and get to this. I'm going to show you my numbers here real quick to get you motivated and inspired because I know a lot of you out there want to make a little extra money. You got some money in a portfolio. You want to make a little extra income. Well, I'm going to show you what I'm doing, and I think it's going to motivate you. Now, real quick before we get to that Alibaba and Nike trade, right now we are sitting on the cusp of making $150,000. And look, I have been doing this since 2016, okay? It hasn't even been a full 3 years yet. To think that I can make $150,000 in 3 years, tell you what, that's real money. And look, once you do your first trade, your second trade, your third trade, man, it's flowing like water. And when it does that, I'm telling you, you will agree with me. It becomes the covered call strategy. The cash secure put strategy becomes your cash printing machine. Right now, with a goal of $55,000 for 2019, I'm already at $36,000. And with over 6 months left in a year, I think we're going to be able to do it. Now, with that said, I got some work to do. But at the end of the day, it really feels good that I could be knocking down on a monthly average over $3,000 a month, generating real income using this strategy. I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, to be able to use this conservative strategy, covered call writing, cash secure put selling, and I'll tell you, I haven't done much heavy lifting. We buy great stocks. We give somebody the right to take our shares away from us at a price we pick for a time frame we pick, and they pay us a per share premium. Absolutely unbelievable. I swear, sometimes I feel like I'm stealing money. I mean, my last covered call on Win, I truly felt like I was printing money. I mean, I'm sitting here with Win, finally at a profit. And just the other day, I'm thinking to myself, why am I not writing a covered call on my Win shares? So that's what I did. I ended up writing a 146 on Win. The stock's trading at 136. I write a 146, and man, I think I get $2 or $3. It blows my mind. If my shares are taken away at 146, I make $10 on the stock move, and I make that $3 on the premium. They're going to pay me a total of $13 for a 30-day trade. I'll tell you, it is absolutely 100% printing money. I love it. I am a huge advocate for this very conservative yet very profitable strategy. Now look, with that said, I still have some work to do to get to my $55,000 goal for 2019. I've already knocked down 16%. Now I know the S&P 500 is at 19%, but hey look, I'll take an annual return of 16% any day of the week. We still have time to improve that number. I think at this point I can definitely exceed my 24.9% I made last year using this strategy. Now, I almost forgot. If you like what you're hearing and you want to be a part of the channel, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel. It's right there and it's free. And hey, look, if you like this video today, bang that like button. It lets me know you like what I'm doing. Now what we're doing is this, we're stepping back in time. We're going to go back to 2016. This is when I was trading Nike. I found that great stock, that great S&P type company, and they pay a juicy dividend, and it was trading in this range between 51 and 58. Now it would go higher and it would go lower, but I had this great range where I could buy the stock, write a covered call, and as it went higher and then fell, I could buy that option back and do it again. And that's what I did. I specialized in writing covered calls and then buying those options back, and I would do it multiple times. I had great success with that, but the one thing that I noticed when I stepped back after my shares were taken on the final trade, when I really looked at the overall picture of the trade, I noticed that when I bought the stock at 55x, by the time I sold the shares, it was literally trading at 55x. Now for me, over the past 3 months, I had been trading it, writing covered calls, selling cash secure puts. I was managing those trades to perfection. And I'll tell you what, I added $2,300 to the bankroll, yet Nike did not move. So for me, it really cemented the idea that when we own stocks, if we can write some calls here and there to pick up that extra dividend. You've heard me talk about that a lot. A stock pays a dividend. If we can write a covered call, a nice, safe covered call where we think our shares won't be taken away, because I know a lot of you don't want your shares taken away. Well, if we could write that covered call, that out of the money covered call, picking up what would equal a dividend distribution. And that's what I did with Nike. I kept doing that. I wasn't making that much premium. I think Nike was paying like 60 cents or 80 cents, and that doesn't seem like much. But when you add those crumbs up, right? Crumb after crumb, it starts to add up and all of a sudden we're talking real money. But the point of me showing you this graph, stocks can move up and down, but when we step back and we really look at it, you might be at break even. That happens a lot to these great stocks. Now, as you can see, with this trade, I wrote 8 covered calls and collected 2 dividends. So again, the point here is that we can own great stocks, but if we learn the strategy and we really learn how to manage our trades, we can write those out of the money strikes, picking up those little crumbs, pocketing that money, and doing it time and time again. Nike went up and down and up and down, and I understand that. I did not get emotional, and I totally built that into the trade. And I was able to walk away with over $2,300 in the wallet, and when my shares were taken away, we move on. Let's talk about my Alibaba trade where I'm really going to show you what I've done. It's actually disappointing because I thought I made tremendous amount of money with Alibaba. And I keep my numbers straight. I keep track of all my numbers. But I have to admit, I missed entering some data. And 1 trade and 2 trade got away from me. And I really didn't know my true cost basis. Well, when I ran the numbers, I'm going to show you what I made. And I was actually disappointed. This is my activity on my Alibaba trade. Last year, August 30th, I bought 300 shares of Alibaba. And that started this trade, okay? And what I did is I did my typical thing. Bought the shares, wrote the out of the money covered call, picked up the premium. We were gonna do this time and time again. And as you could see, that's what we did. Now with Alibaba, I'm gonna show you the chart here in a minute. Alibaba doesn't move in 1 point, 2 point increments. This thing can move 10 point increments. And when it gets to its high or gets to its resistance, man, Wall Street loves to sell it off. This thing can trade anywhere from 180 to 200, from 200 200 to 130, 130 back to 200. I mean, it can be violent. Alibaba's a great company, so I'm going to play Alibaba. I'm going to feel comfortable with it, and when it swings 10 points or 20 points, I'm not going to fear it. Now, what I've tried to do here is roughly pinpoint where I wrote covered calls, bought stock, sold cash secured puts. Man, this was a year of activity. What you should see here is this. I've owned Alibaba for 1 year, and look where the stock's at. When I bought Alibaba at $174, here we are 1 year later, and the stock is trading at 173. Had I bought the stock back in August at 174 with all the expectation that it's going to go back to its all-time highs of 200, man, I'd be disappointed. Now, it did get to 200 during this cycle. But look, if you're a buy and hold guy, you're not selling at 200. You would have held it, and you would have been sitting at a loss right now in Alibaba. So again, what is the point of me showing you this? Outside of you sitting there saying, man, this guy overtrades. Well, I would disagree with you there, because every single trade is a moment in time of me managing the trade, okay? I bought the shares at 174. I wrote that covered call. You know that when I buy the stock for covered calls, I don't sit on my hands. Well, the stock fell immediately. What I do? Buy that option back. Then it really fell. That's not just 1.2 points. That's like 10 points. I went ahead and bought another 100 shares. See, I'm disciplined. I wanted to have 400 shares of Alibaba. I felt like I overreached at 174 and used up 300 of my shares. Well, when it fell into the 160s, I used that opportunity to do a little dollar cost average by buying another 100 shares. And what did I do? I wrote another covered call. The stock fell again, bought that option back. So I'm managing these trades as they present themselves. The point here is I'm managing my trades. I'm not sitting on my hands, and I'm not getting depressed, right? This is not going to be a situation where I get depressed, because I know the stock can move in 20-point increments. I'm going to play that. So what's important to take away from this trade is that we manage every single trade as if it's its own trade, right? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy the stock, write the covered call, and that is the trade. We're going to watch it. We're going to monitor it. If the stock goes higher and my shares are taken away, we are paid that money and we buy another stock. We do it again. We repeat and rinse. So in the case of Alibaba, I made a lot of trades, but again, it goes back to making sure we manage each trade as it presents itself. Now, looking at my last Alibaba trade, and why am I making this trade now? Well, here's the deal. I'll be honest. I didn't keep track of my numbers as much as I should. You saw that I wrote so many covered calls, so many cash secured puts. Look, sometimes I miss one, miss two. And in those situations, unless I'm really keeping diligent numbers, and this is why I always stress to you, you got to keep track of your numbers so you know where your cost basis is at. Well, in the case of Alibaba, I didn't do that so well. So when I ran the numbers after owning Alibaba for 1 full year, I've made cash on cash 5%. Now the stock is down for all those buy and hold players. For me, I'm up 5% because I wrote covered calls and sold cash secured puts. But I'll tell you, for me, that was a crappy 5% trade, particularly with my expectations of Alibaba, right? It's a little more volatile. The premiums are a little bit more, so you expect to make more. But look, once you enter that arena, once you get in the game, man, you cannot sit back and say coulda, woulda, shoulda, or sit on your hands. You got to work the trade. And in this case, that's what I did. And in this case, I don't sit on my hands. I told you earlier in the video, I wrote a covered call last month and I put a strike price of 174X, and the shares almost got there. They didn't, so I was able to keep my shares. So what did I do? Instead of just sitting on my hands, I went ahead, and as it dipped down into the 160s, I wrote that 180. And the reason I wrote 180 is because earnings is coming. So for me, I'll just take that little crumb. Hopefully we have some good earnings and it moves higher. Now, what happens as soon as I write the covered call? Alibaba starts moving towards that 180 number. And with an August 16th expiration, I'm going to bet Alibaba finishes above 180 way before August 16th. But hey, look, at the end of the day, it's a green trade. I mean, $3,700 in this 1 year period. This is not a trade I would write home about, but I did make 5%. And I tell you, the important thing to take away here is that a stock can trade up and down. It can literally trade sideways, yet we're pocketing $2,300 on Nike and $3,700 on Alibaba. Now look, I don't know if you learned anything from this week's video, but what I'll tell you is this. When you own a stock, right? You own that great company. You write that covered call. I'll tell you what, it really motivates me that I can get that extra dividend. I motivate myself by trying to pick up an additional dividend. See, that's where it starts with me. See, it's really easy to not look at the stock market. It's really easy to get down in the stock market. Hey, look, the stock market can be emotional. So a lot of people will turn their heads and not look when the markets go down, right? And we're at all-time highs now. Would not surprise me if they start to take some profits. And when they start taking profits, nobody looks at the market. Those are great opportunities to find those great stocks and get them at a discount. Write a covered call as the stock moves higher. Man, that's money you would not have had. And that's the way I see it. I buy stock, I try to write that little crumb, collect that extra dividend. And when I do that time and time and time again, I tell you what, they add up. And then in the past 3 years, I have made $150,000 doing this strategy. And man, it is financial freedom when you know that you can generate money like that. Man, I hear people all the time trying to come up with income generating strategies in retirement. It's right in front of you. You just have to get your financial education. You have to get motivated and you have to do it. Now look, I'm going to leave it right there for this week's video. Next week's video, I'll tell you what, even better. We're going to talk about earnings reports and why earnings reports makes the golden rules of cover call list. See, earnings reports can be volatile and a lot of times you get stuck when you buy that stock, you write that cover call through earnings and they miss earnings. I have experienced it all when it comes to earnings reports and volatility. And look, even the gurus will tell you we avoid earnings reports. Well, in next week's video, I'm going to show you a couple examples and I'm going to talk to you about how you can benefit from using earnings reports and the volatility. Look, if you like what you heard today, I want you to subscribe to the channel. It's right there. And hey, look, until next time, I hope all your covered calls are profitable.